Hello everyone, welcome to this live stream session today, all about studying a humanities course at DMU. Thank you very much for joining us. Please do leave a comment to say hi, we'd love to hear from you. My name's Laura and I work in the student recruitment team for the Faculty of Arts, Design and Humanities, and I'll be hosting this session today. I'm joined by academic colleagues as well as our current history student Kira. So let's just start off by all going around and introducing yourselves. So I've sort of already introduced you, Kira, but if you could just kick off with a short introduction of yourself, please.
Yeah, I'm Kira. I'm a second year history and politics student at DMU.
Great, thank you for that, Kira. And now Maria, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Maria Taylor. I'm a lecturer in creative writing.
Thank you, Maria. And you, Takako?
Yep, I'm Takako and I'm from English literature team.
Great, thank you. And you, Sophie?
Hi, I'm Sophie Brockman and I'm a lecturer in history.
Perfect. And last but not least, can you please introduce yourself, Amy?
Hi, I'm Amy Bailey. I'm a lecturer in English language.
Perfect, thank you all for that. So as I mentioned, all of our academics today will be talking about how their courses will be taught next year, and Kira will be sharing her experiences of online learning at the end of last year. We will be answering your questions at the end of the stream as well, so please do leave us a comment and we'll do our best to get to them later on. So just to introduce this session a little bit more thoroughly, so Your DMU Future, hopefully you've heard of this kind of campaign by now. It's kind of to help us wrap up all the different ways that we're going to focus on your learning next year, because it's definitely been an extraordinary year that's affected everyone's lives, and DMU understands that, you know, this is a really important year for you, and it also is for us as well. So we're really trying to plan to make sure that you continue your higher education in 2020, and we want you to know that we're here with you every step of the way. So Your DMU Future kind of wraps up the way that we're going to make sure you have safe living on campus, quality teaching, one-to-one time still with our academics, and a great student experience, all within our diverse, inclusive and welcoming DMU community. And we want to make sure that you get all the extra help you may need with life, work and study. And that's really what our academics here are here today to reassure you about. But obviously you all kind of want to know about your courses specifically. And all of our academics have been really carefully planning for the next coming year. So I'm just going to go around each of the academics so they can share a little bit about their subject areas. So could we please start with you, Marie?
Hello. Okay, so you're probably wondering how creative writing is going to go ahead. Well, the first thing is we're quite lucky for the first term, especially because a lot of what we do isn't practical in the sense that you're in a laboratory. It is about you and your writing and your development as an author and a professional writer. So that is something that we can quite straightforwardly do online. So that's good. We do intend, right, okay, lectures, yeah? Now, traditionally, you might have a view of lectures that you just turn up in a lecture theatre, and obviously we can't do that at the moment. But what we intend on doing is those lectures will go online, and there will be ample opportunity for Q&A. They'll be pre-recorded and you can ask us questions. We'll be around. That isn't going to change. Office hours, which is quite simply arranging appointments with us and having a chat about academic stuff or maybe problems which are affecting your academic studies, that isn't going to change. You will have 2 hours a week where lecturers will be available online to see you, and possibly even in you know, after seminars. We will be having smaller seminar groups of around 15 tops. We're intending on seeing you face-to-face fortnightly. So we will still be in contact. Now, on those other weeks when you're not in face-to-face, we're still around online. I will still be putting up activities and things for you to do in those in-between weeks. We have a very, very healthy atmosphere at DMU Creative Writers of people feedbacking online, using the systems we have, which is something called Blackboard. So you will have both of those, the best of both, if you like. And we will still see you, and we will still see you fortnightly. So please be reassured by that. You will be supported as well. What you can do in the meantime, and I keep saying this to students all the time, keep reading and keep writing. There are course books, but what I do say to people at this stage is just keep up to date with your own personal reading habits. Maybe read out of your own comfort boxes. So if you're into fantasy, why not try something else, a different author? Maybe try some historical fiction by Hilary Mantel, try some poetry. And I would really say to you at this point, keep a journal. Do a bit of writing every day. Get used to that. Think about, what would I think? I mean, it doesn't have to be like personal stuff just for you. Imagine like you're writing something and like other people might be reading it, like a blog or something like that. Get into those good habits, and that will really, really support you when you start. And then, as I said, you'll have your lectures, your face-to-face every 2 weeks, and we will support you as much as possible. We are a very friendly group of people, and we care about our students, and we have seen brilliant things from our students over the courses of their degrees. So welcome, and we look forward to seeing you. So I will hand over again. Thank you very much for listening.
Great, thank you so much for that, Marie. I really like your advice of keeping a journal. I think that's not only good for people to prepare for the course, but also just maybe to keep sane during these weird times and over quite a long summer break. Thank you for that. So next we're going to come over to you, Takako, to talk a little bit about English literature.
Mute myself. Here you go. Okay, so Maria said that creative writers are lucky, but we think that the English literature students are lucky too, because you already know that other English literature students, you know how to get everything from this. So you know how to expand your horizon across space and time by reading a book like this, and then discussing the text with your peers and with us, and also by writing about those texts. So the first point about English literature at DMU is we study the poetry, fiction, drama from medieval period, really old ones, to the present day. So you go across time. You also go across space, because we study English literature written in this country, as well as some European text in translation, or some text written in America, in Australia, in Caribbean. Also, we study the canon, like Chaucer, Shakespeare, Milton, Wordsworth, Bronte, the authors you know, as well as some marginalized writers like women literature, or writers of color, or writing in English from all over the world. So that's one thing that you are going to study, and we are very much looking forward to go through that with you, both in person as well as online. And the second point is that DMU in English has two strengths. One of them is adaptation studies, and the other one is the digital humanities. And adaptation studies, what we mean by that is you are going to study how the same text will be adapted in different platforms, so such as film or different medias, like music, or on screen, on internet, on TV. And the digital humanities, you'll be asked to think about what it means to write with a pencil, as well as in printed media, and of course in digital media. So as English students at DMU, you'll be thinking about the ways that we communicate, and how the communications are constructed on different medias. And that means that you will be, and that's my final point, that so you will be learning lots of different skills. And I want to quote from Google's survey from 2017. So apparently, Google did a survey as to what sort of technologies are, what sort of skills are considered to be essential to be employed as to work in Google. And it's not really about science, technology, engineering, or math. It's about being a good coach or being a good communicator, possessing insights into others, having empathy, being a good critical thinker and problem solver, or being able to think creatively or make connections across complex ideas. Those are the skills which you are going to learn by being an English student, but also you are going to learn what it means to use in different to write and communicate using different media. And so that's the sort of skills that we want to teach you. And we think that in this new digital world, that the fact that we have to think about we have to communicate our ideas, both in person as well as in digital media, is a new opportunity for us to think about English literature from different perspectives. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all in October. And now back to Laura, please.
Great, thank you so much for that summary. I really like that you brought in about, Google actually find people who have humanities skills really, really employable. I think that's a nice point to highlight, especially. So thank you for that. And next, Sophie, could you please just tell us a little bit about studying history next year?
Yeah, right. So the purpose of the first year within the history degree is twofold. One is to teach you historical content, so a really broad survey of modern history, both in Europe and the wider world and in Britain, and it's to teach you skills. And both of those components are really important, and we're making sure that we can effectively teach you those no matter what format classes take next year. So in terms of the skills that you might pick up, really, it's to help you be a better historian and a better student, but will also make you more employable, because historical skills are kind of life skills. Reading texts and getting information from them, evaluating online sources for whether they're trustworthy and useful, putting this information together in a written essay or into a presentation, or some sort of podcast or online exhibition. All of these are things that you'll use for the rest of your life. So that's something that we start in first year and something to take quite seriously. And the other thing is, of course, content, the thing that you're probably the most excited about, learning about all sorts of different histories. And the way that we're planning to teach next year is really to make sure that even if some of this content moves online, the quality of what you're learning doesn't suffer at all, and in fact might be enhanced. We've all been, forced at the last minute as of March to pivot to using more online resources. And actually there are some that we're finding really useful. It's made us rethink our teaching, to think about, if some of our lecture material goes online, what do we actually want students to get out of it? How can we build in students reflecting on the material they're learning, even if they're not necessarily in the same room as us? And that's something we're thinking really deeply about. And the good news is that we have also, like English, reduced our planned seminar groups. So you'll hopefully, can't promise anything, but we're hoping to see you every week in person for seminars in a socially distanced way. Obviously, that all depends entirely on government guidelines, and nothing can be firm until we know what the world actually looks like in October. But we're making really solid plans for giving you a mix of this: online lectures, seminars, hopefully in-person contact, and lots of support from individual academics, whether that's online or in person, and the recent National Student Survey has said 100% of our students find it easy to get support, find our lecturers accessible, which we were really happy about because it's something we strive for. So that's next year in a nutshell in history.
Great, thank you so much for that, Sophie. It's really good to hear that students find all of the academics really approachable. And lastly, can we just come over to you, Amy, to talk a little bit about English language, please?
Yeah, sure. So in English language, we're also in a really good position to adapt our teaching to be online. So like the other subjects, some classes will be online and some classes will be face-to-face in small groups in a socially distanced way. And we've kind of spread them out across different modules so that most weeks you will at least have sort of one face-to-face class. I'd actually say that this kind of blend of online and face-to-face kind of offers a best of both worlds scenario. Because actually you get access to a wider range of activities and more ways to engage. And for some of our topics, it's actually been better. So for example, one of the topics that we cover is online language or English in cyberspace. I ran a few of these workshops at the end of last year, and actually we had probably the most fun doing these workshops. Because we were talking about memes, emojis, can emojis be language? And actually we got the opportunity to try that out ourselves using the chat function on our virtual learning platform. So there are actually more ways for you to engage with the online platform. So you can use video, audio, you can use the chat function, you can kind of break out into smaller groups as well. You can use digital whiteboards, participate in polls and online quizzes. So actually there's so many things that you can do with this model. And yeah, you can expect to get personalized support. So all your tutors will be available to meet with you either virtually or kind of in the face-to-face kind of smaller groups. We really get to know you. We're quite a small department, so in many ways that's kind of really good because it means that we get to be really kind of invested in our students and kind of allow you to pursue your individual kind of interests and goals. So one of the best things I think about studying language is that it's everywhere and it can apply to pretty much everything. So we've had students do projects on kind of placements in schools, projects looking at gendered birthday cards, which is really interesting. So language is not just about written text, but also about the visual, video, that kind of thing as well. Had students look at language acquisition. So that's how children acquire language. And then also things like the language of memes and online forums. So it's really flexible. The course at DMU offers a really good kind of balance between theory, so thinking about how we can describe the structure of language, how we can describe speech sounds using really cool special alphabet called the International Phonetic Alphabet, if you want to sort of have a look at that ahead of time. And then also practice. So how language is used in the real world. So for example, how language is actually being used at the moment in terms of coronavirus and the health pandemic. And so many kind of interesting, kind of dynamic, socially relevant things that you can do with your degree. And yeah, we offer a really good balance with that. And yeah, next year, really excited to meet you all. And yeah, we're here for you kind of every step of the way.
Great, thank you so much for that, Amy. It's really good to hear that extra info, and I think it's really interesting that you're studying more modern things like memes and birthday cards. That sounds really interesting. So thank you all to our academics for just sort of summarising a little bit about online learning for each of their areas. I now wanted to come to our student, Kira. So obviously we all had to adapt really quickly to online learning and teaching at the end of last year. So I was just wondering if you could share your kind of student experience of what that was like, particularly how the virtual learning environment called Blackboard was helpful for you.
So yeah, switching online was very, very quick last year. But it was, for me, it was very, very positive. Everything we have on Blackboard, there's normally pre-recorded lectures anyway. So most lectures that you will attend in person actually go online as a revision tool. So in that respect, it wasn't any different. Our lectures were still online, uploaded online. In terms of seminars and extra tutorials or workshops, we either had virtual ones, so we all had an online platform, or actually on Blackboard there is a really cool feature where you can put up discussion boards. So for one of my modules in particular, it would put up key seminar questions. So after we'd gone away and done the reading for the seminar, we'd come back and write our opinions and answers to these questions. So I found that really, really helpful. Yeah, it was so positive actually, learning online. I think you can actually get more out of learning online. For example, when you need help from a lecturer, a lot of lecturers now have like an online calendar, so you can click on it and you can see all the times they're free, so you can really make sure you book like a really good time for you. I found that really helpful as well. Blackboard is really good, everything's in one place. You can submit all your assignments through Blackboard. And yeah, so I really, really enjoyed actually switching to online learning, and I think it's something to look forward to next year.
Great, thank you for that, Kira. I think your internet connection might have just cut out a little bit there. So if anyone is watching is in the comments, if there's anything they want Kira to repeat, then please just let us know and we can come back to her in a little while. But I'm really glad that Blackboard was really helpful for you. It sounds really good that, you know, as standard anyway, before coronavirus, DMU kind of recorded lectures and things like that so people can watch them back and revise and stuff like that. So that sounds really, really good. So now I just wanted to turn to some of the pre-prepared questions that we've got for our students. So the first one we've got is, will I get face-to-face contact time with academics? So some of you have touched on this, but I didn't know if any of you wanted to just return to this point and kind of just reiterate if face-to-face contact time will be possible. So does anyone want to pitch in on this one? Maria?
I can just say that at the moment we are definitely, well, in as much as anyone in the country, but you know, we are definitely factoring in face-to-face time with seminars and also electronic face-to-face. I've been speaking to an awful lot of students online, so that's part of it as well. So yeah, definitely.
Great. Sophie, did you want to add something?
Yes, as Maria said, you know, we're planning to do quite a lot of face-to-face time and to let the pandemic disrupt us as little as possible. But I think that idea of electronic face-to-face time is also really important, because especially when it comes to one-to-one tutorials, which are always an option for any student with any lecturer, anytime, we've basically said we'll do it as is most convenient for everyone. If a student, you know, lives public transport away from campus, for instance, and would come in for a seminar, but is a bit iffy about getting on a bus just to see a lecturer, we're happy to do that in an electronic way, because our priority is to uphold the standards of teaching, but also make sure that everyone is safe and is able to follow government guidelines. So those two put together, we're just building a lot of flexibility in as well.
Yeah, and if I may chip in, particularly for the one-to-one online tutorials, I think that may stay even after we get out of this pandemic, because I realize that many students take that opportunities of just having like one-to-one tutorials over Skype or through Blackboard, because it is easier for students to arrange time to have a like meeting. So I've had quite good experience having face-to-face meetings with students online after the lockdown.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. Kira, I was just wondering, assuming everyone can hear you now, did you have any of these kind of online one-to-ones at the end of last year?
Yes, I did actually. Sophie is actually my personal tutor. So as soon as everything changed to online, she was like, do you mind having an online meeting with me just to make sure that you're okay, you don't have any problems that are going to affect your academic work? And yeah, it was really, really helpful actually. I can understand where I think it would be a good thing to keep them once we go back to normal, because especially for students that live quite far away from campus, it can be quite a trek into campus for a 10-15 minute appointment with a lecturer. And actually it's better for students and for lecturers to have online meetings. And you can also share documents more easily. So you can, because you both have electronic devices, it's very easy to ping across a document for your lecturer to read whilst you're reading it as well. So I think that's very, very helpful. And yeah, I think they were really positive.
Oh, that's really good to hear. Thank you for that, Kira. So the next question we have is just about people kind of leading in similar sort of topic. Will I be able to ask questions and get the help I need if I'm stuck? So I guess this is sort of similar to those one-to-ones you're just talking about. But can any of you kind of contribute to this about other ways that students can get that support from academic staff or just in general? Yeah, Avi?
Okay, yeah, so you can absolutely ask questions and get the help you need if you're stuck. So as we've mentioned, we can arrange kind of a one-to-one session via sort of Skype, Zoom, Blackboard Collaborate, Teams, so many kind of options. But also if you're stuck, you can just send us an email. We're always here to just, answer any sort of questions you might have. Also, we're planning to have sort of, for some topics or some modules, discussion boards on Blackboard. So actually you can kind of ask questions to your kind of cohort, your group, as well as your tutors. So yeah, you absolutely can ask for help.
Great, thank you for that. And just to add to that, kind of obviously DMU has various support routes for any kind of needs students might have. So there's student advice centres dotted all around campus, and they'll also be having an online element next year. And if you have concerns about health and well-being, there's a whole team kind of dedicated to supporting students in that way as well, just to kind of reassure people if that's the sort of thing they might want to access help from. Yeah, Kira, did you have something to add?
Yes, I do. Also, your peers are also in the same boat as you, and I think it's really important to contact them and keep in touch with them, because they will often have the same worries and fears that you do. And we also have course reps at DMU, so there will be one person who will have continuous contact with lecturers. And so if as a group you all have one worry, you can just put it to the course rep, who will take it to the lecturers and will feed back an answer. So that is also a very good way to get help.
Great, that's really helpful. Thank you for that, Kira. So if no one else wants to chip in on that question, then the next one we have, which I'm sure a big concern for lots of humanities students, is will I be able to use a library either in person or online? I know none of you are library staff, so if anyone watching, there is recorded DMU Future live streams where there was a member of the library staff kind of talking about that. But either Kira, from your experience, or the academics, kind of what you know about how the library can be accessed next year. Does anyone want to touch on this? Yeah, Maria?
Say one thing that it might surprise some people to know, that we have digitization, which means that for sections of books which are very, very important, those sections will actually be available online from reading lists. And I know we've talked a lot about Blackboard, but Blackboard is a kind of online kind of learning. So, well, it's not really social network, it's more like a network. But you will have links using that place, Blackboard, which is a virtual learning environment, I should say. So you'll have links to reading lists, and for the really important stuff, there will be digitisation available. Now, I believe the library is still going to be open. Obviously, there will be social distancing in place, but certainly from our point of view, we will be supplying you with the relevant chapters or sections or passages from books that you might need. So yes, thank you.
Great, thank you for that, Maria. Sophie, did you want to add something to what Maria just said?
Yeah, I mean, just to say that also in the library, there's a subject librarian for each subject. So, for instance, I've been working closely with our history subject librarian who completely understands the specific needs of history students and has been helpful in not just sourcing books and buying ebook versions of books that we already have, just in case you have trouble accessing the library physically, but also helping us source maybe access to watching some films online that we might usually have watched in a lecture. I've certainly become more creative since April in terms of incorporating more YouTube videos and documentaries into my teaching. So in terms of the resources that we use, we were already moving towards more online support because we live in the 21st century. So this has accelerated it. But, you know, we're still doing the same things. We're reading and we're writing about the things that we read.
Great, thank you for that, Sophie. So hopefully that answers that person's question about the access to the library, because I know from my own experience, I spent most of my undergraduate degree in the library. So it's good to know that hopefully people can sit and work surrounded by the books they need or access them online. So the next question we have is about, is there anything I can do over the summer to prepare for my course? So I'm sure this is something a lot of people are thinking about, that kind of transition from A-level to university and degree level work. So do any of you want to kind of talk a little bit about what students can do? Who wants to go first? Sophie?
I'll go again. Obviously, I mean, once your place is confirmed at DMU, we'll send you a reading list of books to read. And there are some obvious classics, you know, there's Ludmilla Jordanova or John Tosh on what is history and how to be a historian. And there are these big overview books, and you can read the Penguin History of Europe or something to get an overview. But those are textbooks, right? You can choose to do that, but they're not the most exciting kind of beach reads. So in terms of reading the books that are a bit more difficult to get through, we'll teach you a lot of that when you get here. We have lots of seminars on how to read an academic text and how to write an essay with it. And we'll work alongside you to learn how to do that kind of academic reading properly. So in terms of preparing for history, actually, the most important thing is to just stay in touch with the subject, right? There are discussions about history going on in the media every day, whether that's the way that the British Empire is taught in schools or the way that Trump is representing Indigenous history in North America. There are so many debates where you can just read the news and form your own opinion about historical debates, or you could read books that are set in sort of historical context, whether that's Chinua Achebe or Garcia Marquez or Graham Greene or Orwell. There are so many other ways to be engaged with history than just to sit down and read kind of dry book over the summer. So just keep an open mind and remind yourself why you think history is important and interesting in the first place.
Great, thank you for that, Sophie. Takako, do you want to go first?
Yeah, and empty your mind probably, because yes, you can read a lot and you can think about a lot, but I always get surprised how much students grow from the first year to the third year. And probably Kira is in a good place to start realizing that, now I understand what lecturers are saying, don't you? It's like the whole new process of thinking about the subject from completely new and exciting perspectives. And university is a place where you can learn how to think about your subject from various different ways, and there is no right answer as such in history or creative writing or English subject. You can think about the same topic from all sorts of different ways, and that's what we want you to learn once you come to the university. So be flexible, empty your mind, be excited about your subject, and read something that really interests you. I think that's the most important thing you might want to do. And when you come here, be ready to be surprised and go to the next step with your subject area. I think you can enjoy your subject in a very exciting way when you come to university. Yeah.
Great, thank you for that. Maria, did you also want to add something about creative writing?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Tatako. Just empty your mind over summer as well, because we're going to be filling it up. So we're going to introduce you to lots and lots of different things as well. From a writing point of view, on the course next year, we're going to be doing some poetry and some prose, and within that subsections like historical fiction. So kind of going back to what other people were talking about in terms of like the whole, you know, world of it. And we don't want to overwhelm you. That's really, really important. So you are now a professional writer. You are an author. I think one of the nicest things you can do is what I said earlier about maybe keeping a journal, maybe challenging yourself, like just every day to write something, just to have a go, just keep that going and keep reading and keep your mind open, lively and inquiring. And, you know, we're looking forward to meeting you and helping you expand on the rest. So yes, thank you.
Great, thank you for that, Maria. Amy, did you want to add something? I don't know if that's a hand or...
Yeah, I won't say too much because I feel like everyone's just summed it up really, really well. So yeah, keep an open mind. We will send reading lists, but mainly for English language. Just be open to the kind of language around you. Listen to kind of maybe how your family are using language, how the media uses language, etc. Read what interests you. Don't feel kind of pressured to do loads of kind of textbook reading over summer. Just read according to your interests. Keep an open mind, and really excited to meeting you in September, October.
Great, thank you for that. Just before we wrap up, I just wanted to come back to you, Kira. I was wondering, based on what everyone's saying, how do you think you've developed since your first year, and what kind of advice would you give to maybe someone that is starting in September?
I definitely think just the advice is to come in with an open mind. I think most students, especially studying history, come in with such a one-dimensional view because it's the only way we've been taught to look at history before. And I think at university, it just really widens that and you understand the different dimensions at how you can look at history. And I think that's just so exciting. So I think, yeah, don't stress yourself out about having to read each textbook that's been recommended cover to cover, because you will gradually learn each textbook as you go through them with the class and in your lectures. So yeah, just look forward to it, keep an open mind, and just be excited to go and study something completely different.
Great, thank you so much for that, Kira. And I think that's a really lovely point to end on, so sort of all of you reassuring the students starting in September that, you know, there is some stuff they can do in preparation, but mostly they need to come with an open mind and just be really excited. So that's all we have time for today. So thank you everyone for joining us and for your questions. If you want to find out any more information about your DMU future, it's all on our website. And also, we'd love for you to join us on our exciting community event coming up on Friday, the 24th of July. So that's this Friday for offer holders. It's called Our Big Night In. So go to our website, the link's now on the screen, and you can find out more about that and book your place. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see you at DMU soon. Thank you.